technology, it's so different than when I started business 30 years ago. There was no technology to contend with. Everything was just written down, right? Now technology has made our lives so much easier, but it's made dying or becoming incapacitated extremely complicated. And so can it be avoided? The answer is yes. So, I choose to use technology to solve the problem that technology created.
Well, today we are going to talk about a subject that sometimes gets overlooked for entrepreneurs and, quite frankly, family members as well. So my speaker today is a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He has spent more than 30 years in the employee benefit and retirement space, and he's the CEO and founder of My Life and Wishes, which is a secure cloud-based digital planning and document storage business, which helps people prepare for life's what-ifs. And in addition to all of that, he is a best-selling author, and I love the title of this book, Click Here When I Die. So welcome, Jon Braddock. It's nice to have you.
Thank you, Kathy. It's my pleasure to be here.
So let's start off talking about life's what-ifs. Because it's something I know nobody prepares for. So, and you're an expert in it. So tell me a little bit about what ifs and what can happen if you don't plan.
Great question. Well, a lot of people think about life's what ifs. Well, what if I get, in a fender bender? What if I get a speeding ticket? It's going to be inconvenient, right? But what a lot of people don't think about is, what if I don't wake up tomorrow morning? What if I don't make it home from work tonight in a family scenario? And in a business scenario, what if I don't make it to work tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And so I premise that with some secrets shouldn't be taken to the grave.
Oh, that's right.
And what I mean by that is people say, well, what do you mean by that? And well, it's like, okay, well, some secrets probably should be taken to the grave, right?
Right.
But some shouldn't. And so what I always ask people is look, what is it that you know that no one else knows that at some point they're going to need to know? Mm-hmm. So here's the problem. The problem is death.
That's a big problem.
It's guaranteed, right? 100%, 1 out of 1 of us are still gonna die.
Yes.
The problem is we fail to leave clear and concise instructions for our families. We fail to leave clear and concise instructions for our business partner or our team or our employees. Mm-hmm. And what that does is that leaves people scrambling to locate documents, accounts, important papers, information, login access, and that's time consuming. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating. It's angering. And in a family setting or in a business setting, it can be extremely expensive.
Yes, absolutely. So what do you say to those entrepreneurs because they're running at such a high clip? I'm going to wait. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do it the next day or something like that. Is there something, because I know you and I talked about something, if like, for example, an employee's not there, it's almost the same type of an example.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's the thing. The first thing is, I'll address, well, I'll get around to it. Mm-hmm. Well, this is not taxes.
That's right.
we know the date. I mean, this year it was April 18th. And if I wanted to wait till April 18th and go through the morass of minutia and get everything done and get it postmarked, I could have done that. It's a date certain. Right. None of us owns that crystal ball. We don't know what tomorrow holds. It's not guaranteed. So that's, why we can't wait. Much like personal planning, when I get to business planning, I say, what keys do I hold that someone will need if I were unexpectedly gone or unable to even communicate that information? What information does my key employees or business partners, what do they hold? Um, if a key person didn't show up in your organization tomorrow, what access would you need if the marketing or payroll or IT person were suddenly gone?
Right.
Do they hold login and access information that no one else knows about them but us? So the golden nugget is in answering those questions and then being sure that someone can get that information in the event that is needed. Many of our organizations, we have job aids, right? It tells people, well, here's the processes and here's the steps to do all these different kind of things, and those are critical, but we fail to add the really critical elements to those, which is what are the things that we need to continue to run the business. So it's almost kind of like a succession plan. We can get to that, but so Michelle and I had founded our previous company, which was ISG Advisors. We were the only owners, and we had a team of 10 people surrounding us. While we had the traditional job aids for training, it certainly go deep enough from a digital standpoint. Here's what, in retrospect, was the worst thing. Michelle handled all the operational aspects of our firm. She did the banking, the payroll, HR, employee benefits, and the accounting. If something had happened to her, it would have been a disaster for our business. I had no idea what needed to be done with our payroll company to get our people paid. I had no idea how to run the commission reports that we had to pay out, or even how to log in to our QuickBooks account. So thankfully, that situation never arose. But then I thought about our key marketing person who did all of our social media. She ran our CRM, connected with all of our clients. All of those programs and things that she did, she had the knowledge of. There's no way I could have gotten to her computer and unlocked it. There's no way I could have logged into any of those programs. And the challenge for businesses, thankfully that didn't happen, but God forbid that it happened. It would have taken, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get somebody in to try and get into those programs, get those things done. And we're missing out on emailing with our clients. We're missing out on all the communication and campaigns that we have going in the funnels. And it's a nightmare.
No, absolutely. I mean, it really brings it home. Even just the simple example of, let's say you have your marketing person, she's out for the day or out for a week, and then you don't have access. There's something that you need to do, and you don't have access to that. I mean, it really brings it home. And what if it was a lot more than that? What if maybe that person left the company abruptly, or God forbid, that person passes away? It makes it so much worse than somebody just being away for a short amount of time. The other thing I think about too, though, is that as entrepreneurs, we grow our business. We we might, so many of us would want to stay in our business for a very, very, very long time. But some people grow their business and they want to grow it, but they have plans that they want to retire at a certain age or whatever it might be, or they want to sell their business. So when you're selling your business, you're going to need to be able to transfer all of that information. So it's better, don't you think, to start early? Basically before any of that happens? I mean, I guess that's the real question. So when should you start this planning? Because again, it's one of those things that as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we put that stuff off.
Exactly. When should you start that process?
Hmm.
The day you opened your business. you know,
So now,
you know,
if you
you're
haven't
right.
done it, do it now.
Get started. I'm embarrassed to admit that at our previous company, Michelle and I didn't have a succession plan in place.
Oh,
And
wow.
succession planning can seem challenging, but if you
Hmm.
break it down into 5 simple steps, it's not that hard.
Okay.
Step one is timeline and purpose. Is this for my retirement? Is it for the unexpected death or injury or both?
Hmm.
Step two is how do you want to exit? Your options could include maybe it's heirs, maybe it's sale to business partners or key employees, or a sale to an outside buyer.
Hmm.
Step three would be making sure you have all your SOP, your standing operating
Okay.
procedures included. That's everything from the low hanging fruit, the org charts, the
Right.
operational manuals, IT employee, that kind of stuff. But I add one thing to that, and that's, all those things that or that someone else knows that,
Mm.
that you don't, that they're going to need to be passing on.
Oh,
Because
yes.
while technology, it's so different than when I started in business 30 years ago. There was no technology to contend with. Everything was just written down, right? Now technology has made our lives so much easier, but it's made uh, dying or becoming incapacitated extremely complicated. And so, can it be avoided? The answer is yes. So, I choose to use technology to solve the problem that
Hmm.
technology created. And so we include that under our third step. And then again, working with your attorneys, business valuation, what's your current value,
Okay.
estimated value at transfer, et cetera. And then finally, funding. How are you going to fund it? Is it going to be life insurance, acquisition loans, seller financing? Um, but then don't forget, once you lay this plan out, it's a fluid document. It needs continual review and update,
Hmm.
so much just like our personal planning does. It'll take time, but needs to
Hmm.
be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You brought something really interesting to this. How do you want to exit? I think as entrepreneurs, again, that's something else that we don't think about. This is not necessarily dying. This is like how do I want to exit this business? Do I want to stay in it forever until I die? Do I want to, again, it's like, how do I want to sell it? Do I want to pass it down to my family? That's actually a huge amount, right, of planning.
Totally is, and again, when you start a company, I think you always, I mean, the old Stephen Covey, you begin with the end in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start a company, and if you haven't thought about it, what's your vision for the company? When I started this technology company, my attorney asked me right out front, this is before we built a platform, did
Anything?
any development work. He basically said, when do you want to exit?
Oh my gosh, that is one smart attorney. I hope you kept him.
Oh, yes.
Because most attorneys may not, I mean, I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't, But that's a really, really great point. So
If you don't have if you're going somewhere but you don't have directions, a
mm-hmm.
map, if people know what that is anymore, or a smartphone or GPS, you don't know where you're going, right?
Right,
So we have to start with knowing where it is we want to go. I mean, that can change, right?
right.
But we have to know, and then that's our goal. That's the roadmap that gets us where we want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how do we make this easier? Is there technology, tools that we can use to make this whole process easier?
There are. One thing that I'm including for all your entrepreneurs is our business planning checklist,
Okay.
which is kind of like a roadmap for all those things that we don't really think about on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis, such as all the financial accounts and vendors and bank logins and credit cards and sales reports. How do we access it? Where's it stored? Same for payroll. Um, Same for all your social media. It's I always joke. I ask people all the time, if something were to happen to you, does someone know how to log into your LinkedIn account, take it down? Does someone know how to go into your Zoom and turn it off, because that's on a monthly recurring
Right.
charge?
Exactly.
Much less your Facebook, your Gmail, your Google Drive,
Everything.
and the list goes on. And they recently came out with a study that indicated that per one email address is associated with 130 digital identities.
Oh my goodness.
So, I question everything because that's what I do. So I use LastPass, a one password manager. So I logged into mine the other day just to see how many passwords are stored in there for sites
Hmm.
that I visit. I have 357.
Oh my goodness. Even more.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm probably a lot older than a lot of the entrepreneurs that are
Oh, I
watching and
don't know.
listening to us. And they're gonna have so many more than that. And
Wow.
it blew my mind.
So, on average, one email address is associated with 130 different like entities or whatever it might be. Wow.
Mhm.
And in your case, it was a heck of a lot more. And I would say, as business owners, we have more than one email address. And
Exactly.
our assistant will have one, and all these different things. So that can just exponentially grow into thousands, I would think.
Easily. And that's just my business one that I looked
Mm-hmm.
at, because, my Gmail is a separate one, and I have two
Right.
different Gmail accounts for different things. So,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
that almost is a little scary.
Right. So can you imagine if I didn't make it home tonight, or I didn't make it to work tomorrow? If someone doesn't know all those things that I have, how to access that information, how time consuming and exhausting that would become. Especially
Mm-hmm.
all the things that, as a business owner, what are all the things that you have that are on, recurring payment? Your
Mm-hmm.
CRM every
Mm-hmm.
month, your Zoom, any of the
Zoom,
computer
the
programs you use, Hotjar, Authorize.net, all your payment gateways.
where
And
your website is, website, every
right,
social media has some sort of something that you're paying, scheduling software. Gosh, there's so much out there. So
right.
much.
And all of a sudden the credit card
Mm-hmm.
needs to be updated.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
If someone can't log in, boom, your CRM is going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Your social media campaigns are going to stop.
Yeah. That
So, detrimental to business.
that is actually really thought provoking, because you want your business to live on, and you want it to make it easier for everyone else that is surrounding you, whether it's your family, it's your employees or other people in the business, your partners, whatever it might be. So it's really important to have that. So you talked about LastPass. Are there other tools? I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out. So let's say we get all these documents together. Where should we put them? Should we put them
Right.
in a safe? Should we put them, where should we put them?
Well, when I created our platform, which is My Life and Wishes, the
Mm-hmm.
concept behind that, much like the title of my book, Click Here When I Die,
Mm-hmm.
my vision is that if I didn't make it home tonight, literally at the touch of a button, my family would have everything they need to know,
Wow.
24/7, from anywhere on the planet. Copies of the important papers, documents, access to all the logins, et cetera. And from a business standpoint, saying, if I didn't make it to work tomorrow and something happened, would someone be able to access all that critical information? And so, yes, it has to be stored and secured somewhere. Um, you know, a file cabinet is a place, right? Here's my issue with a file cabinet from a business standpoint. Might have a vengeful employee.
Yes.
who can alter or tamper with a document. You may have a fire or other
Mm-hmm.
natural disaster. You have no access to the information if you're away from the office, vis-a-vis when this entire country was on lockdown and we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't go to our office 2 years ago. And the originals obviously are susceptible to theft and
Right.
misplacement. Safes are great. I love a safe, right? But they're fireproof. Large safes can be costly to purchase, much less get installed. You or someone else have to remember the combination.
That is a big one. Yes. We went through this last year where all of a sudden, because I really wasn't getting into the safe, and all of a sudden, somehow it so supposedly the combination didn't work anymore.
Right.
So
Well, and
yes.
digital door locks can fail, or dead batteries can leave you locked
Mm-hmm.
out. And it's like,
Yes.
where is the key
Mm-hmm.
that, that I have to put in to override that and change the batteries, right?
Right.
Um, and then a lot of people say, well, computer storage. I have people tell me, well, I've got all this stuff stored on my computer. It's in an Excel spreadsheet, et cetera. Well, in my career, I have had 2 hard drives fail,
Mm-hmm.
which was very expensive to try to get recovered. And it only recovered about 80%.
Yes.
So you can lose files. Um, and then no one knows how to log into my computer,
Mm-hmm.
even if things didn't fail. So,
Absolutely. And then
and,
people will
and
say,
five
"What about?"
tries and they're done.
And you're done. You're done. And then I'm sure there's people out there thinking, "Oh, well, I'll just put everything on a flash drive or one of those Seagate big drives." I can tell you from experience, and I'm not saying anything about Seagate. I don't remember what brand it was that we had. It failed. So everything we had put in there it's gone.
Yeah. I've had many flash drives fail,
Mm-hmm.
and I've probably misplaced or lost more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be stored. So the reason we created the My Life and Wishes platform is that it's secure in the cloud and accessible from anywhere, with
Okay.
the right login credentials. We build the right safeguards in to allow for authorized users to access it when needed. But we also have triggers in there that if it gets accessed, I get notified in case I'm not deceased, right?
Oh, okay.
And can change those kind of things, which for me has been a blessing, particularly over the last 2 years. I've had to travel. We've had a death in the family, all these things happening during COVID, and I've been able to access things from anywhere that I've been. From a smartphone, from a tablet, from my laptop, and get there. So,
Mm-hmm.
so what I tell people is, you know, get this stuff organized. Utilize our planning checklist from a business standpoint for all those key things. Get them, worst case scenario, written down,
Mm-hmm.
then store it and secure it somewhere safe, and then make sure that someone has access to it. And
Mm-hmm.
so our platform that we built, originally we built it for, individuals, for families. And while it still has that same kind of design in it, we utilize ours for business. And we have many clients that just take it and use it as business. They don't enter spousal information and some of those things in, or names of children, but it has all the website logins, it has all the documents and the critical things, the job aids, and everything stored in one place, which makes it so much easier.
That's great. That's really great. Let me ask you this: do you delegate, or what are your thoughts about delegating some of these tasks
I
to
love
someone
delegation
else? I do too.
because
I love
I
delegating, but
won't I won't get it done if I don't delegate it, right?
right.
So here's what I tell people, because a lot of times people will say to me, wow, there's just so much stuff and it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be overwhelming and daunting and this kind of stuff. And I have two answers to that. My first answer is, well, if you think it's going to be overwhelming and time consuming and daunting, can you imagine
Mm.
how overwhelming, time consuming, expensive it's going to be for your business partner, for your family, if you don't do it? So what I say is, look, get started. Um, one step at a time. Look at it like a weight loss strategy.
Okay.
Okay. I can't go see my personal trainer this afternoon and wake up tomorrow morning 20 pounds lighter. Not going to happen, right? But if I go today and tomorrow and later this week, and I do a little bit this week, a little bit next, boom, 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 over, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, boom, I'll be 20 pounds lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people is, do it a step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Say, all right, we're going to do this section today. We'll get it uploaded. Tomorrow we'll do something else. And boom, in a couple of weeks, you're going to have it done.
Right.
Better idea? Who is your very trusted key employee, key assistant? Delegate it. They'll have questions for you along the way. You got to get me this so I can build this out and do this, but delegate it. It'll get done so much faster.
Do you have a process that you follow as far as how often you might go in there to update it? I mean, is it monthly? Is it every day?
That's a great
Is
question.
it once a year?
I can tell you that between Michelle and I, we're in our account at least once a day.
Really? Okay.
Because from a business standpoint, things change. I may go to log into authorize.net and I get that pop-up that says, time to change your password.
Oh, yes.
And so I change the password. But if I just change the password and jot it down over here for me, and Michelle can't log in, she's got a problem. So I immediately then, just because I've got the browser open, I just click log into my account, go to authorize.net, change the password. Boom. Done.
That actually makes a lot of sense because it's actually it's a quick and easy thing that you can do, and that way it's always updated. So, what is your recommendation for entrepreneurs? What would be the first thing? So, if today they're like, okay, I need to start thinking about this, what would be the first thing that you would suggest for them to do? Is it to look at their timeline, or do you think it's something else? I mean, what's it like a step that they can kind of get a win out of, I guess, if they had to try it today? There's probably a lot of answers to that, right?
There are, right? I think the simplest is download the checklist
Okay.
that we're making available to you. Look through the sections, which we have broken down. And you're probably, as an entrepreneur, you're going to need one of your key people to help you with some of this stuff. But look through the different sections, which break down from key advisors to social media accounts, those kind of things. Pick one.
Okay.
And jot down those things that are critical for you. So for me, I might go to key advisors because my team might not know who my attorney is, or all the attorneys, or who the accountants are, or who my outsourced mentor or marketing kind of person is. So jot those things down. Put phone numbers next to them.
Okay.
So that someone would know who to reach out to. Because if I don't show up to work tomorrow, my team's going to need to get a hold of my attorney.
Right. Exactly. But even like if you go on vacation and something comes up, you want them to be able to access information as well. So it doesn't have to be that necessarily you're going to die. Just think about it gives you almost a little bit more freedom because you have this document in place, and if you have it in the cloud, you'll be able to access it anywhere in the world. And again, same thing for your employees. They will, if there's something really important that needs to go on, or you have an event going on, or whatever it might be, they're going to have an easier access. Whomever your trusted and advisor is or key employee is.
Oh, exactly. So if I'm traveling for a conference or business or even personal, I always have my laptop. And so if I want to do something or log in and I don't have the information does my team really want me picking up the phone and like calling them and saying, hey, can you tell me what this is, right? No. So I have access to it. Same if I know something and I'm traveling I don't want one of my employees, calling me while I'm waiting in line at Disney World to get on a ride,
Right. Oh,
asking
what's
me,
yes. Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. So yeah. So I would say one of the best things is, other than knowing your family and your business is going to be okay, is freedom that this can potentially give you. It'll free up your time. It'll free up some mind space as well, because you know that you have these things in place. It'll give you more clarity so that you can focus on exactly what it is that you need to do, rather than worrying about, oh, where did I put that password, or any of those type of things.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that's so great.
So
Thank you, John, so much. I mean, you really gave us something to think about today. Things that I know I haven't thought about, and I bet you part of the audience hasn't thought about it either. So thank you again for your amazing advice and knowledge, sharing your knowledge. And again, everybody, look for the links in the show notes. And please go and download at least the checklist, and then check out his website as well, and look around it. So thank you again, John. I appreciate everything.
been my pleasure. Thank you, Kathy.